How do you run for re-election when at every event, if you're going to talk to the press, they're going to ask you about the special counsel and the documents?
Well, I mean, we haven't had a real popular president in quite a long while. Joe Biden thought that he might escape sort of the 40s doldrums that Donald Trump faced, that Barack Obama faced. That is the reality of life in a harshly divided, deeply divided country where it's very hard to get people in the other party to give you credit for your accomplishments. You listed a lot of accomplishments. Joe Biden knows that Republicans aren't going to give a peep of that to him. So the secret is, how do you keep your team feeling energized? How do you keep your team on board? Talking to mayors helps you do that. You've got to keep the home team together, and I think that's what Biden's best option probably is.
There remains, though, this sort of anger within the White House press corps that they consistently feel like they've been lied to. And I've spent some time in the briefing room talking to them. You have reporters who normally have given Mr. Biden a pretty wide berth and the benefit of the doubt, now actually going after him. Is he going to have a reset moment? Is he going to be able to sort of hide from the press forever on this? Or are we going to have a press conference?
Well, he certainly made it through the 2020 election hiding. So who knows? But the other factor at play here is those reporters know that their editors, and by the way, the viewing public at home, wants to know why they paid so much attention to Donald Trump's mislaid documents, purloined documents. Are they going to be fair with Joe Biden? So there's a little tension underneath this because some of this ends up having to be a little performative so that they can say, well, you say that we're biased towards the Democrats. You say that we're soft on Biden. But look here, I made a lot of loud noises. I sounded very tough as I said these things, even if it doesn't go anywhere. So there is a performative component here for the White House press corps.
Isn't everything about the White House press corps almost performative?
Oh, words that hurt. I will say that the relative value of the daily briefing for getting information instead of just theater is pretty thin these days. Yeah,
very, very, very thin. This came up on the Daily Mail, on the family. Joe Biden is named in 2017 email discussing multi-million-dollar gas deal with China, and Louisiana lawyer writing to brother Jim that he arranged a call with the former VP and his son Hunter, quote, to discuss the purchase. At what point does the document scandal and the Hunter Biden scandal combine to be something that actually becomes a real ball and chain around the president?
The matter with the documents is, and it hinges on this, and the same can be said of Trump. If anything in these documents, whether they were taken or mislaid or however we want to describe them, that as long as there's nothing in those documents that benefits Trump or benefits Biden, right? As long as there's nothing that people say, hold on a second, you took this to do something illicit with, or you took this so that it wouldn't be part of the record, that this was more than just either nostalgia or incompetence. If that's the case, then that goes to the next place. For the Hunter Biden scandal, it's really, really, really simple. If Joe Biden is found to have participated himself or been enriched by any of the shady dealings that his son engaged in, then this is a huge problem for Joe Biden right away. As long as it is a story of a really wayward, a really troubled, drug-addicted son who was struggling in life and he was invoking his father's name, or even if his brother was invoking his brother's name, as long as it stays on that side of the process, then Biden probably will continue to suffer from it, but it won't do serious damage with Democrats and persuadable voters. If that crosses that line and Biden has seemed to have benefited either from the documents or by his son's misdeeds, then that becomes a serious problem for his reelection.
Real quick, and I'm going to tie these two things together. You point out that there's really not presidents who've been that popular recently. But Joe Biden is at 40% right now. How much lower can he go? And we'll tie that together with today was the first March for Life post Roe being overturned. And abortion was something that he used extraordinarily effectively, and Democrats did in the 2022 midterms. Does that continue into the 2024 election?
Joe Biden is going to be rooting for Donald Trump every second of the 2024 Republican nominating process. Democrats will tell you, I'm sure they tell you, they tell me behind closed doors, Biden is perniciously weak. He's too old to run again. He does not excite the party. There are serious structural problems with Joe Biden's running for a second term. However, if the Republicans nominate Trump, or if the Republican civil war continues in such a way that the GOP just can't get their act together, Democrats can hope for a repeat of 2022, where the fundamentals of the race favor the Republicans, but the Republicans can't get the right players on the field. If that happens again, then Joe Biden's got a good shot to win again.
You are a true professional in many ways, including the fact that you made the transition for me without me even asking you the question. Chris Stirewalt, thank you very much, sir. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.